to the Thought Snob Podcast. I'm Paula Swope. Let's get snobby. Today's episode is about Capricorns and self-awareness. I created the Thought Snob Podcast to help you live a better life through, using non-traditional and unconventional pathways to happiness and success, because the traditional ways, they're not working. And if you doubt that, just why don't you take a look around? Look at anxiety rates, look at chronic disease, look at financial stress. So let's try something different here. Why don't we use astrology, just not as entertainment, but as information, as awareness, because self-awareness, that's the real flex, and most people don't have it. Take a look at the studies. I'm not making that up. Now, I had an experience the other day that made this whole thing crystal clear, and this is what inspired me to talk about this topic on the podcast. I was getting my makeup done at my hair salon, and the artist did a beautiful job, but in the middle of it, she leaned in and said, in this, overly concerned tone, which Capricorns don't really fall for anyway. But she leaned in and she said, "Now, do you see a dermatologist?" I thought that she was asking me that because I had a VI peel, a chemical peel, the week before. And I still had some peeling, around my chin and in my neck. And so that's what I thought she was talking about. And I said, "Are you talking about the peeling, on my neck and my face?" I said, I had a VI peel, a few days ago. And she was like, "No, it's this mole here on the left side of your neck." Okay. Let me give you some context here. That mole has been on my neck for an eternity. There are no issues with that mole. If there were, it would have been taken off a long time ago. Okay? So let me just continue giving you some background here. So I'm a Capricorn, born December 25th, Pisces moon, Taurus rising. Capricorns are wired differently. I've been seeing a dermatologist for 30 years, probably longer. Actually, I think my first visit to a dermatologist was maybe in the 8th grade. But I take good care of myself. I get annual scans. I mean, the issue that she was referring to, it's this mole I've had forever, okay? So, but that's not, it wasn't the point. The point was, she said something unnecessary, unsolicited, and out of scope. And what she didn't realize is this. That one comment had the potential to send somebody into a tailspin. It could have made her client very insecure, anxious, and uncomfortable and worried. Luckily, I wasn't worried because I see a dermatologist and I know what's going on with my body. But she made an assumption that I didn't. And that was the problem with me. That's what a lack of self-awareness looks like. Now, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have checked her immediately, but I didn't. I stayed calm and I responded kindly and I let it go. But make no mistake, girlfriend now has a file. Capricorns will file you right up here and in this mental area that you got a file now. And when you get a file, it's not a good thing. And here's something you need to understand about Capricorns. We're constantly observing. We're constantly assessing. And once you show us who you are, you're categorized. Not emotionally, but strategically. And let me be clear, this isn't about being judgmental. I did not judge her. I walked into that appointment with zero judgment. I trusted her. I was open, but she crossed a boundary she didn't even realize existed, and that's the problem. A self-aware person understands these simple rules right here. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every observation needs to be shared. Not everyone wants your opinion, especially a Capricorn. If she had been self-aware, she would have seen the mole, thought whatever she thought, and kept it to herself. Because she was there to do my makeup, not diagnose skin conditions. She is not qualified to do that. She shouldn't have said anything. And that's awareness. And here's where this gets bigger than just one interaction. People who lack self-awareness tend to move through life the same way, okay? They talk too much. They dominate conversations. They assume they know more than you do. They assume they know more about you than you do. That's the biggest mistake you could make with a Capricorn. Well, not the biggest, but it's in the top 5. They violate boundaries. They criticize others, but never look at themselves. And then they wonder why their relationships don't work, why they can't get along with people in their workplace, why opportunities don't stick, why people pull away, okay? I used to have a friend who, my God, she talked excessively. And being around her felt like getting hit by a Mack truck. I mean, I would leave drained, overwhelmed, exhausted. I mean, my head would be spinning. I mean, just sitting listening to somebody talk for hours and hours and hours, and it wasn't even always like streamlined and coherent. And for a long time, I blamed her. You know, I bitched about her behavior. But the truth, it was me. I mean, I lacked the awareness to set a boundary. You know, I lacked the awareness to walk away. I kept showing up and then complaining about the experience, and that's not power. You know, that's avoidance, and self-awareness changed everything for me. Instead of reacting, I started asking myself questions. And this works. This works like a charm, but you have to be present and you have to be aware because you got to remember to do this. So instead of reacting, getting all bent out of shape and feeling like I've been, hit by a Mack truck, okay, I would ask myself, okay, is this true or just someone's opinion? Will this matter 5 years from now? Hell, will this matter next week? Is my response necessary? Or is it my ego? What's going on here? And I started tasting my words before I spoke them. And, because let me tell you something, it's like constant opinions, constant, reactions. That's not intelligence. It's not. That's noise. Listening is intelligence. Presence is intelligence. And once I developed that, my entire life shifted. Now that's Saturn energy right there. That's Capricorn energy. Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn. Saturn's tough. We go through hard things early in life, and it's not punishment. It's more like training. And eventually, if we do the work, we become highly self-aware people. And that's why healed Capricorns don't tolerate nonsense. We don't argue. We don't explain. We don't fight for space. We just remove access quietly, strategically, effectively. It's all planned, okay? Now let's go back to the makeup artist. Did she ruin my day? No. Did her comment matter in the grand scheme of my life? No. And I checked myself. In that moment, I thought, there are people in this world dealing with real problems. Hell, we're at war. People are dealing with loss, survival, sickness. And here I am sitting in a chair, getting my makeup done. Who gives a shit what she said? It's not a real problem. And the irritation dissolved instantly. That's self-awareness. It's the ability to zoom out, to regulate your ego, to choose your response instead of reacting. And here's the real takeaway. Even in her lack of awareness, she became a teacher for me, because every time someone triggers you, there's information there. That doesn't mean that what she did was right, because it wasn't. And if she does that with her people, it will hurt her business. But that's beside the point. There's always information there if you're willing to look at it. Self-aware people don't assume they're always right. They understand that their perception may not be the truth, okay? And that's what keeps them evolving. And none of us are ever finished. We're not finished products. As long as we're alive, there's work to do. That's all there is to it. But if you avoid that work, especially if you're a Capricorn, those same lessons will keep showing up. Different people, same pattern. Now, Capricorns get sick of that. We don't want that. We've carried enough. And we're not interested in holding on to unnecessary weight, especially emotional weight. No. So we process it, and we learn from it, and we move on. And that's why Capricorns are the goats, okay? Not because we're perfect, but because we are aware. And we are supposed to climb to the top of that mountain. And we can't do that if we aren't present and self-aware. So I hope that you have learned something during this episode. That's all I have for you today. And I appreciate you being here with me again. And I will see you next week.
The Thought Snob Podcast with Paula Swope has been brought to you by Thought Snob Media in association with Special Purpose Studios. All production, mixing, and sound engineering by me, Will Swope. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Please take a few seconds to give us 5 stars and leave a review. See you on the next Thought Snob Podcast with Paula Swope.